Hello and welcome back to the Top 100 Horror Movies review series. I'm going based off of the Top 100 Horror Movies as chosen by Fangoria readers. I have the scratch-off poster. I'm not sponsored by Fangoria, but I do think it is a very cool poster. So if you like horror movies or you want to get into horror movies, there are 100 to watch. Or if you have a friend that likes horror movies or wants to get into horror movies, it's cheap-ish. So I recommend getting it. So today's movie is number 21, Dawn of the Dead from 1978. So the basic spoiler-free story. Actually, there's not much to spoil, but I'll give you a spoiler warning anyway once I get there. So the spoiler-free story is 4 survivors of the Living Dead outbreak from the Night of the Living Dead. This is a sequel. Hole up in a mall for an amount of time. I don't know. But, like I mentioned, I will be getting spoilers, so consider this your spoiler warning. Cool. So, again, there's not much to spoil. There's not a whole bunch of story here. So it starts out in a TV station. They're doing this emergency broadcast. We saw it in Night of the Living Dead, where they're listing all of these outpost stations you can get to for safety. And then a guy comes by, picks up his girlfriend, I think, and puts her in a helicopter, and there's like a squad of policemen or something, or like the army or something like that, going to one of the projects. It's sort of like a poorer housing, I guess. So they go to one of the projects because they hear that there are living dead in there, and then this guy just starts going wild. He starts kicking down doors and blasting everything. Doesn't matter if it's a living dead or just a normal dude. He just blasts in that head, kicks down a door one time and blasts this guy's head clean off. It just explodes, and then his wife screams. It's pretty cool. But he gets shot because he's a liability. And then one of them goes to the basement to kill off a bunch of living dead, and he meets this other guy, Peter, who's from a different leader squad, I believe. And so they sort of like team up and kill off all the living dead, and then go over to a police station, I'm pretty sure. And so the guy and the girl from the television station got up to the roof because a helicopter came, so they took the helicopter and started running out of gas, so they went to the police station to refuel, and then the policemen there were like, where do you think you're going? We're gonna take that helicopter. And then the 2 policemen from the project show up, and they're like, hey, do we have a problem here? And they're like, nah, we don't have no problems here. We're not trying to take this helicopter. And then they frick off. And so it's the 4 of them in the helicopter. They fly for a while, touch down on a farm to get gas, and then once they're there, they are attacked by the living dead again, and fight them off, get back in the helicopter, fly back up, and they're like, oh, well, we were gonna go to Canada, but we're running out of gas, so let's touch down at this mall right here. And so they go to the mall, and they go in the mall, and the living dead are in the mall, just doing normal person stuff, kind of. And so they're in the mall, and they're like, okay, well, if we do this and this and this and this, then we can go to the department store, get all the stuff we need, and shoot right back here. And there's only one entrance, so let that freaking crazy guy sleep. Don't wake him up. We'll be back. Those were the police officers. And so the police officers go down to the department store, and immediately the woman's like, hey, wake up. They left and haven't been back in like 10 minutes, and I'm starting to get scared, so, yeah, thanks for being awake. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna go after them because they probably need help, you know, they're 2 trained police officers, surely they need my help. He's missed every single shot he's taken so far in the movie. So he goes down, and then they are in the department store to get the stuff. They come back up, and then they go back down to get another load, and then they like shoot some living dead and come back up, and then they're just like kicking at them all for the rest of the movie. They make a blockade with some oil trucks, and one of the police officers' legs gets bitten, and so he's basically out for the count for the rest of the movie. So they make the blockade, and they distract the living dead elsewhere in the mall, and then they lock up the entirety of the mall so that the living dead outside can't get in, and then they kill off all of the living dead in the mall. And then the guy whose leg got bitten dies and then turns, and so he gets shot in the head immediately. Then this pack of crazy guys are like, I see there's a helicopter on that roof, and it was flying around earlier, meaning that someone's there. So let's see if we can raid them. And it's like a big group, like probably at least 100 people. And so they go over to the mall. Well, they radio in and are like, hey, can we have some stuff? And the guys who are at the mall are like, no, frick off. They're like, okay, we're gonna come raid you now. And so they come and start messing stuff up in the mall. And then the guys in the mall are like fighting back. And then one of the guys gets shot and is in the elevator trying to get back up to their safe spot where they were hiding. And then the living dead burst in through the elevator and like grab him down and eat him, and he's dead. And then he comes back as a living dead in the very end. And then the other guy, the second police officer, goes back up top and it's like, hey, to the woman, hey, so your boyfriend, he's dead. So you're gonna need to get out of here. I'll stay behind, I'll kill them, I guess. And she's like, no, I can't, no. And then the living dead burst down the door to their safe spot because the guy who was turned remembered where it was. And so they burst in and start attacking, and then she does frick all, and then the police officers like, go now, and she's like, okay, and then she goes up to the helicopter, turns it on, and he's like, wait, actually, I want to live. So he goes onto the helicopter, and then they fly off, and that's the end of the movie. And I just summarized a 2.5 hour long movie in the span of 7 minutes. So, yeah. The survival tip for this movie is always shoot for the head to make sure they're dead. Because if they're not dead, they're gonna kill you. Just in any situation. It doesn't matter if it's zombies or you're just getting attacked normally. Shoot for the head. So, the pros of this movie, it had really good effects. Obviously for zombies, they're like biting the friggin' internal organs and everything, and the blood, and it's very well done. Especially for the time. This came out in 1978, so for the time, this was very impressive. The acting was also pretty good. The main characters did a pretty good job with the acting, as well as the zombies actually like acting like zombies, or the living dead, I suppose. They are technically zombies, but they're not called zombies, so I don't know. But yeah, pretty good. The cons, definitely the story, especially because there isn't much there. And I personally don't really mind when a movie doesn't have much story to it. A movie I really enjoy that I just rewatched recently, SLC Punk, doesn't really have that much of a story to it, but I really enjoy it. The problem with this is it has no story and it takes a long time. It is 2.5 hours long, at least the version I watched was 2.5 hours long, and it was definitely an hour longer than it should have been, because it just dragged. When I was an hour and a half through it, which is pretty standard time for a horror movie, and really any movie that came out back then. Like, I feel like an hour and a half definitely could have had everything in this movie that is in this movie in the 2.5-hour version. Like, there's so much that could be cut out that just drags. It just drags the movie. Content warnings, there is some language. I think I counted 10 F words, but about half of them were hard to hear, so I was like, well, I might have heard it. Like, what else could he have said that sounded like it? Exactly. So, yeah, I counted 10. There's some use of slurs. Prominently, the N-word was used at least once in the beginning. So, in the series, in the Top 100 Horror Movie series, and even just horror movies in general, like, I think he did it for the My Bloody Valentine video as well. Yeah, I think so. And, like, the President's Day. The editor has been putting in a gore line.
The motherfucking gore line.
So that is sort of like a 0 to 100%, to where Halloween is on the low end and Evil Dead is on the high end. So I put this movie at like a 75%, I would say. Pretty gory, pretty standard zombie movie. Yeah, it's gory. It's a gory movie. But not like all the way gore, like not like Evil Dead levels of gore, obviously. There's not really nudity in it. Like there is nudity. There's one shot of a breast, but it's very short, like 5 seconds maybe, and that's it. Like 5 seconds in the 2.5-hour long movie. So, not that bad. I would not recommend this as a first horror movie because it is a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. And I guess it could be a standalone, but even like with like the gore and stuff, I wouldn't say it would make a good first horror movie. So I gave this a 7 out of 10. The story, or lack thereof, the lack of story for the 2.5-hour long movie, really brought it down. That was the only thing bringing it down. If it was an hour and a half and had all of the same elements, which it definitely could have done, it would be a good movie. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad movie, it's a very impressive movie, like, effects-wise, but I just personally didn't really like it. So I'm putting this at number 15, so that is below Jaws and above Suspiria. My full ranking will be in the description. But yeah, that's it for the review section. Now I will do the scratch-off poster, but that's all for me. See you in the next one. Okay, today we are scratching off Dawn of the Dead, number 21 on the list. So, just to go through all the other ones, we have Halloween 1978, Thing 1982, Exorcist 1973, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974, Nightmare on Elm Street 1984, Alien 1979, Shining 1980, Scream 1996, Night of the Living Dead 1968, Jaws 1975, Evil Dead 1981, Psycho 1960, Hereditary 2018, Hellraiser 1987, Suspiria 1976, American Werewolf in London 1981, Rosemary's Baby 1968, Black Christmas 1974, Re-Animator 1985, Get Out 2017, and now we have Dawn of the Dead from 1978. So we have the title and the Living Dead. Okay, so that is it. So we have the title, Living Dead, and the sun behind them, which is very reminiscent of the remake poster. So I hope I wasn't supposed to watch the remake, because I'm sure that would have been more fulfilling. But it doesn't say what year the ones came out, because a lot of these movies have remakes. And so I'm just going with whichever one has the better rating on IMDb. But yeah, so that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Next video is Evil Dead 2. So yeah, thank you for watching.